I'm JGSF1987. I'm a writer and blogger. And to see my latest posts, go to my blog at jgsf1987.com. Also, I'm on Patreon. The link will be below. If you can help me out to, make more videos for you guys, I'm going to say thanks for your generosity. So, apparently, as the mainstream press is saying, that Trump threw Israel under the bus in this sense. Well, here's what I would say. In terms of disclosing the fact that Israel has been a key partner in doing this, let me put it to you very simply. That's been an open secret. Trump is not saying anything that's newsworthy about that. Newsflash: Israelis did that in the past. They do that now, and they'll continue to do it into the future. That's because Israel is one of America's 7 non-NATO allies. Think about that. But yeah, I mean, Trump doing what he's doing. Again, he's not thinking, or at least not thinking things through, which is not exactly what we need in a president, and someone should hold him accountable for that. But the fact is that we have our midterm election next year, so it's not that. So between now and next November, just be sure to keep one thing in mind. The Republicans in Congress, as well as the party in and of itself, is not united. They're in shambles. But that's been well known since the end of the Bush administration, when President Obama entered office. And it's been like that for, I would say, about basically the last couple of decades. Alright, so, but I gotta say but we're gonna get another 4 years of Trump, given the trajectory that the DNC is going down. Tom Perez is little more than the corporate Democrats stooge meant to, go out and be the first dough face for the entire party. Let me tell you something. Only 1 out of every 5 this is among Democrats. 1 in every 5 Democrats actually back the line coming out of the DNC. The other 4 back Bernie Sanders. And so they're trying to do everything they can to undermine Bernie Sanders, to undermine the poor guy. Well, I wouldn't say poor guy, but just to undermine the guy who's trying to do stuff to actually help everybody. And by the way, he not only, the fact that he has an 80% approval rating among registered Democrats, I would also encourage you to look on Google and see what his figures are in terms of approval figures among not just independents, but also Republicans. So keep that in mind. But if the DNC keeps doing what it's doing, we're going to get another 4 years of Trump. I mean, and it's going to take until these guys get it through their thick skulls that running corporatists is going to keep them out of the levers of power. Here's what you're not going to get anywhere. Now, everybody. Now, there was actually a video just posted by Dore actually, I'll throw it down in the description, which is that he found out that 50, now let me tell you something, 52% of registered Republicans are clamoring for Medicare for everybody. It's also a majority of Democrats as well as a majority of independents. That should come as no surprise. But again, we're not going to get that. Not with the corporatists running the Democratic Party, and with the Republican Party basically, or at least the politicians that are affiliated with that particular political party in Congress. It's just not going to happen. But I can assure you one thing: there's a slow realization among a lot of them that they're not going to. The fact is that we're not going to have to deal with it much more of the charade. So just keep that in mind. The Republicans are not as united as they say they are. But this isn't to say that the Democratic Party, that the Democrats are united either. They're not. And I would like to make a point to Markos Militsas and a lot of these other quote-unquote progressive writers who have been basically doing everything they could to undermine actually the progressive movement. Quit claiming you're a progressive if you're trying to do the work of the corporate establishment. You people are boneheads. And you're making actual progressives look really bad, and basically you're making us look like idiots. You're not helping the situation. Look, we've done things your way for I would say close to 2.5 to 3 decades. It is leaving more and more people behind. Anyway, so there's that. By the way, a lot of these calls about saying with the whole thing about Trump, blah blah blah, how this is all like Watergate. I'm gonna say this much. What I'm gonna say basically is that we need to wait for all the facts to come out first before we can start making any of those kinds of declarations and such. Well, a lot of Democrats, as well as a few Republicans, they're right in saying that there should be an independent prosecutor. I mean, yeah, at least to try to get to the bottom of the case. Trump doing what he's doing, he's not helping himself. However, I'm going to say this much. You want Trump out, you're going to get Pence. And Pence is actually much more extreme than Trump is. Trump's not an ideologue. The guy's an idiot, but he's not an ideologue. He didn't run a campaign. He ran a campaign basically that was based on nothing. Nada. I need to take this as a trip back on memory lane. when Trump first entered, he did it only because he was trying to get bargaining leverage with NBC for his cushy contract. But when it really started taking off, and I mean, plus the mainstream press actually helped him in this regard. But when that took off, he realized, oh crap, I gotta come up with a plan and quickly. So there you go. Trump, I can assure you, in the very beginning, he didn't want to be president. It was only once his numbers started exploding, then he's like, oh crap, I gotta come up with a plan and quickly. So, and that's what happened. Look, the fact that it's not very well thought out is a whole different story, but that's a little bit of a side story, but an important one to make a note of. But yeah, basically, he doesn't have anything thought out, and he has no particular ideology other than basically to try to bring about, except for the fact that no, scratch that. There is a little bit of an ideology, and it's actually one that is actually very dangerous, but in one sense, which is restoring, basically trying to restore white supremacy and Jim Crow again. That's a lot more. That we got to make sure it doesn't happen. But the fact is that we have plenty of people on the ground making sure that that doesn't happen. So as long as we keep an eye on that, we're okay. Now, as for the American Health Care Act, in its present form, it's not going to go through the Senate. And what the Senate churns out is never going to be accepted by the House of Representatives. Basically, so Trump care, more or less, is going to die in Congress. Because to go back to the old system, again, it is going to cause more problem than it's going to end up solving. The only way you can go about doing this is to go with what Bernie had been advocating the entire time, Medicare for everybody. Just extend Medicare for everybody, and it's done. And if you want to keep the private insurance companies around, fine. Just give them contracts to process the damn claims. That's it. That's all you need them for. Other than that, you don't need them. They've outlived their use. I've said that on Facebook. I know I've said it on Twitter as well. I may have said it one or more times on them. Wait, no, scratch that. I don't think I'm... No, actually, I think I might have. I'll look. But I know I've said something about this on Facebook before. So keep that in mind. A lot of the more outlandish things that he said, I can assure you that a lot of that is not going to get passed through Congress. Especially now with all these Republicans realizing that there's a bunch of targets right on their backs, basically. So there's that. But here's the thing, though, is that Trump was going to be a disaster from the very beginning. I mean, that was not lost on anybody. But the DNC is really not helping. As I said before, the DNC is not helping itself especially by doubling down on basically saying that no one other than Hillary Clinton is legitimately entitled to be president, and that everything but her is the reason why she lost. Look, I'm not saying that there wasn't a little bit of misogyny. There was. But most of the people that swung to Trump, the quote-unquote basket of deplorables, I would say the vast majority of those people that she basically wrote off, those are the same voters that backed Obama twice when he ran for president. His initial term when he was elected in 2008, and then his re-election in 2012. They backed him up. They voted for him even in that regard. So keep that in mind. Anyway, so I'm going to cut it here. I'm Judge S of 1987, and I'm out of here.